Firstly, to my left in the blue corner, trained by Paul Madigan of the Mad-X Gymnasium. Last night of the weigh-in, he came in at 62 kilograms. He hails from Gympie, wearing black shorts with silver trim. Fight record, 19 fights, 13 wins. Ladies and gentlemen, George Groth. And out to my right in the red corner, trained by John Wayne Parr at the Boonchu Gym. Last night of the weigh-in, he came in at 61.9 kilograms. He hails from Mermaid Beach, wearing silver trunks. He holds the WKBF Australian Amateur title. Fight record, 16 fights, 3 losses, 3 coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Ketley.
Johnny Cav, our 7th fight of the night, proudly brought to you by fightbet.com.au, where you can place all your bets on all these fights here tonight and future fight events. Proudly brought to you. 5 3-minute rounds, full tie rules. Daniel Ketley, 16 fights, mate. His first 15 fights, this boy's gone over to Thailand and lived in Thailand, and his first 15 fights have been in Thailand. He came back to Australia, had 1 fight, won the WKBF Australian title, taking on George Groth. Also, a lot of international experience as well, coming off a recent fight in Hong Kong as well.
Well, Daniel Ketley having 15 fights in Thailand and then coming back to Australia, who does that remind you of, Johnny?
Yes, the man in the corner, John Wayne Parr, but you can already see that Daniel Ketley very strong in the grapple, which obviously is a big part of being in Thailand. I've seen a few of his fights there on YouTube. He's a regular on the IK forum, the ikmagazine.com.au. Get onto the Sports Blitz forum and have a look around. But Daniel Ketley, a regular on there. Baby Cube, otherwise known as, but puts a lot of his fights up in Thailand there on YouTube, and so we've had a bit to see of him, even though we've never seen him. I've only seen him in the country once. We've seen a lot of his fights over there in Thailand. But George Groth out of Paul Madigan's Mad-X Gym, 19 fights, 13 wins. One of the tough boys from the Mad-X Gyms up there in the hills. When you got guys like Eli and Benaiah Doomer and Taylor Harvey up there, mate, I tell you what.
Well, pretty much this evening, if you're a fight fan, it's not only what we're seeing in centre ring, it's the representation of fighters and trainers ringside. You know, you've got Carnage, John Wayne Parr, Paul Hoogland, Flip Street, Eli Madigan, Preacher Bruce McPhee, and also super promoter Tarek Solak making the trip up all the way up from Melbourne. And Johnny, you heard it first here, there are big plans in store in June. Watch this space, Tarek Solak. The super promoter, the heavyweight scene will be set on fire in June in Melbourne.
Big show on the 9th of June here in Melbourne, as you were saying, Johnny. I'll tell you what, this will be an interesting fight. Daniel having all of his fights over in Thailand, he'll be used to fighting under, for want of a better word, Thai style over there, with the Thai rhythm, the Thai scoring techniques. George Groth, 19 fights, has had international experience. But this will be an interesting fight for the judges.
Daniel Ketley, having so many fights out of Thailand, will be used to a slow start, particularly over 5 rounds. But George Groth, good handwork, particularly from George, as we'd expect to see coming out of the Mad-X Gym.
Attempted crossing elbow there from George Groth, and Daniel just sort of said what was in it, and then George just unloaded with him on some hands and some elbows as well.
Crossing elbow there from George Groth.
When you get to this sort of level of the boys, Johnny, sort of 15 and 20 fights, the experience is there, they know exactly what they're doing. But you can really notice the Thai rhythm in Daniel Ketley. His evasive skills already, as a couple of times George has tried to unload, his evasive skills have been very good. But at the end of the day, mate, we're fighting here in Queensland, and a big right hand there from George Groth, as we say that.
That's the end of round number 1.
Great first round there for fightbet.com.au.
Round 2.
So round 2, Johnny, for fightbet.com.au. Not sure of the odds on this one, but tell you what, Paul Demicoli and Prophecy Promotions, go to www.prophecypromotions.com.au. One of the very best fight websites in the country. I've been all over it the last couple of weeks and having a look at it again. Mate, he's got everything on there. He's got videos, he's got links to the bets, he's got everything on. He's got all his sponsors on there. So get behind Paul Demicoli and Prophecy Promotions if you want your name out there on the mainstream TV.
Yeah, let's not forget Paul DeMacaulay and Prophecy Promotions late last year putting on a fight show in Vanuatu.
Taking it offshore, mate. He just loves the sport, and the people love supporting him as well. Yeah, back in centering, and they're good. Both boys are holding their own there in centering in the grapple, but a bit of a slip out of George Groth. But you can notice in the grapple, Daniel very comfortable in the grapple, which is what that's what they live on in Thailand. He just tends to drop his hands a little bit, Daniel.
When kicking.
Yeah, when kicking.
Which is an absolute no-no, because George Groth will be honouring him if he continues to drop his hands. He'll come straight over the top, Johnny, mark my words.
Daniel seems to be using that a fair bit. Really loading up with that. Crossing elbow there from George Groth, and Daniel just sort of shaking his head. A lot of the purists out there, Johnny, they don't like the Thai style. I love watching a couple of good Thai stylists in the centre ring. But the boys are loading up when they get the chance, but the rhythm's there, and the technique's there, the evasive skills are there. That's what you see a lot of in Thailand. I love this sort of fighting.
We want entertainment, Johnny. That's the important... the fighters to work as we're seeing particularly George Groth with his hands. Well, interesting in both corners, John Wayne Parr shouting instructions obviously to Daniel Ketley, but Paul Madigan and Eli fairly quiet over in their corner, so they're obviously pretty happy with what George Groth has put together so far here as we come into the latter stages of the second round.
Both boys have been letting the elbows go as well. Nothing of any substance has caught anyone at this stage. Daniel using his ankles very well.
Yeah, good straight left from George Groth. I'm impressed with George's handiwork, Johnny.
Yeah, he's really loading up with his kicks as well. Take that from Daniel.
Nice to see fighters touching gloves.
A little bit different to the first fight of the night. The Bulldozer and Little John. Another action-packed round there for fightbet.com.
For the first time at Beenleigh Arena, Saturday, June 26th, Fate Mixed Martial Arts Prophecy proudly presents Fate Beyond Human Control. Round 2.
Another plug to Paul DeMacaulay's show coming up in a couple of months' time, John. Saturday the 26th of June, the Fate MMA up here in Queensland. Paul DeMacaulay bringing you the best in the Muay Thai and the best in MMA. Back in the centering now, 5 3-minute rounds, 4 5 rules.
Yeah, once again, George Groth just putting together his combinations very nicely. Just missing with the kick, looking to tenderise that lead leg of Daniel Ketley.
And again, for any sponsors out there that want to get on board behind Paul DeMacaulay and Prophecy Promotions, you can be contacted at www.prophecypromotions.com.au. And you'll be seeing this show live on Fight Sports on the Aurora channel, Foxtel channel 183, proudly brought to you by Paris Productions 0428 586 203, bringing you the best fight sports from across the country. And he is, yes, Johnny, he is the best DVD producer in the country, bar none. But back in the centering, I'll tell you what, some good handiwork there, and it looks like a bit of a cut might have opened up on George Groth's head. Actually, I'm not sure whether it's a cut on
yeah, it's interesting.
George Groth's head.
Yeah, there's a bit of blood on both fighters, Johnny. It's actually...
Yeah, it looks like Daniel Ketley's been cut under the left eye, right on the cheekbone. Not sure what caused that, but a bit of claret flowing there in the third round, Johnny.
Yeah, but luckily for Daniel Ketley, on the cheekbone there, that won't interrupt his vision at all. So
yeah, and if he's had 15 fights in Thailand, mate, he would have had worse than that in Thailand. Don't you worry about that.
Yep, famous quote by the gunslinger John Wayne Parr in that bout against Chris Allen, where I've had worse cuts than this in Thailand.
And that was one of the biggest cuts we've ever seen in Australia. George Groth just looking to unload at the moment. But, Team Boonchu, when they get back into the corner after this round, they'll want to get to work on that one. As you said, it's not going to interrupt the fight. It's below the eye. It's not running into the eye.
As we see George Groth just trying to unload that teep, and good evasive work by Daniel Ketley.
Just as George
Let's
was
bring this round home, Beenleigh Arena.
big elbow go which just missed the mark.
Nice teep too by Daniel, trying to keep George at range, but George continues to push forward.
So obviously Daniels must be spending a lot of time undercover training in Thailand, mate, 'cause he's been over there for about 12 months, he's had 15 fights, and where's the suntan? But again, good evasive skills from Daniel Ketley. Good straight.
Once again, not a lot of grappling in this fight so far, Johnny.
That's the end of the round. That's enough for these two fighters. What an entertaining round that was. Daniel Ketley, George Groth. Round 4.
And for John and Team Boonchu between rounds have been working feverishly on that cut of Daniel Ketley on the upper left cheekbone, and let's see how that holds up. Like it there from Daniel Ketley.
Yeah, just taken on the gloves by George Groth.
As you said, both boys, sort of 15, 20 fights, mate. These boys have got great experience there in the centre area. They know what to look out for. I said, whether you're training at Maddox or Boonchu, mate, there's no shortage of sparring partners in the gym there, so you've got the best and best. And, mate, that is just classic Thai grappling there from Daniel Ketley, just taking George Groth down into the canvas.
Yeah, good show of strength by Daniel. And as we know, Johnny, that will score quite well on the judges' scorecards because Daniel remained on his feet.
Yep.
Obviously, when one fighter tries to dump the other and they both end up on the mat, no score.
No, exactly, and that was just that was textbook grappling there from Daniel Ketley. So Daniel has a tendency to drop his hands a fair bit, and it hasn't been he's been caught because he's been cut, but I'm surprised he hasn't been caught a little bit more with his hands dropping down as they do. But also great extension there on that teep there, really followed through on that teep there to George Groth.
I'd like to see him use that teep and then follow up rather than just a single front kick, John.
Justin Gibbons keeping a really close eye on those guys.
Nice right hook, short left combo there from George Groth.
Yeah, George just continuing on the front foot. Looking at the grapple over in the red corner, over in the Boonchu corner. Still showing good rhythm, good power. Tipped Superman punch there from Daniel Ketley. Not sure whether you see too many of those over in Thailand. Not so much from the Thais, you might see from the Westerners over in Thailand, but something that Daniel's brought back with him. I think Daniel's heading back to Thailand again shortly to resume his training over there, living full time in the camps over there in northern Thailand, training away. George Groth really looking to light up.
30 seconds remaining in round number 4.
Came back with a sneaky little close elbow of his own.
That step-up teep is worked pretty well for Daniel Ketley. As we see now, both fighters exchanging elbows, neither really hitting the mark.
This is a classic example of using your elbows and just getting in the range. Daniel Ketley consistently just changing his angle in centre ring. And George Groth, he's been able to catch him as well at times.
That's the end of round number 4.
And, fifth and final round coming up. This one's there for the taking as well.
Fighters, touch gloves. This is the 5th and final round.
Fightbet.com.au proudly bringing you this 5th round of the 7th fight of the night. We've got 3 more fights after this, Johnny. Australia, New Zealand. But centering now George Groth from the Maddox gym, Paul Madigan's gym, and Daniel Ketley, John Wayne Parr's Boonchu gym down there on the Gold Coast.
Well, I wish I'd have placed a bet on fightbet.com.au with George Groth. Johnny, because so far, the first 4 rounds, I got him slightly ahead on my scorecard, just because of a busier work rate. I think he's been much more effective with his hands, but the fight's there. I think Daniel Ketley really needs to pick it up here in the 5th and final.
As I said, John, it was going to be interesting knowing that Daniel's history with 15 fights over in Thailand and used to fighting Thai style, as we said. It'll be interesting to see how the judges see it as well. But yeah, George certainly has been the more aggressive of the fighters.
Once again, that teep just working a treat for Daniel, but not following up.
Breaking them up. So halfway through this 5th and final round.
As we see, George continues to push forward. Daniel.
Massive crossing elbow there from Daniel that just missed the mark. And looks like we've got a bit of a rat's tail hanging out of the bottom of Georgie Groth's pants there. It's got his groin protected title on there. I'll tell you what, I want to make sure that's tight on properly because you wouldn't want that coming loose at this stage of the fight.
Yeah, well, I doubt they'll be making adjustments at this stage of the fight, but hopefully that won't bother him too much. Justin Gibbons has spotted it.
Look, for the safety of the fighter, John, is probably the best thing to do. So just back into the corner of Paul Madigan, just a bit of adjustment there. And Justin Gibbons just adding a bit of comedy to it, just standing back, not wanting to get involved.
Big shout out to Matty Reid if you're watching this. I think Matty will have fond memories of a box adjustment in centre ring at one of the KO promotions in Epping.
Yes, I think it was all out for everyone to see. That's not going to affect George Groth at this stage of the fight, but for the sake of the fight, you need to look after him. George Groth just really coming home strong in this 5th and final round. Big looping left.
Yeah, once again, good strong hands by George Groth as he now ties up Daniel Ketley in the grapple.
And Johnny, Daniel Ketley should be aware of that in Thailand. They've got to bring it home hard in the 5th and final round, and George Groth is the one doing that.
Attempted jumping downward elbow from George Groth.
And that's what they do in Thailand. They finish strong, and he's got to finish strong.
Yeah.
And George Groth is on the
30
front foot and
seconds remaining in the final round. Come on, Beenleigh
George
Arena.
definitely looking to put the lights out on Daniel Ketley here in the final stages.
Yeah, loaded up with a really
Fight.
big kick there, just took Daniel off his feet. Step up elbow from George Groth. And a bit of vocal support in the background there for George Groth as well. Both boys just back in centre ring, but really Daniel hasn't done enough for me in this 5th round to sway the Johnny, you were prepared to put some money on that one, fightbet.com.au. I'm not a betting man, but I tell you what.
George Groth, Daniel Ketley.
George Groth really brought it
Can I
home.
please have a representative from fightbet.com
I want to go to the
to
judges
set
and
to
see Daniel
ring.
Ketley just walking around.
After 5 rounds of full Thai action, we have reached our decision. Your winner by split points. Blue corner, George Groth.
Well, there you have it, Johnny. Very interesting split point decision, but quite a contrast in styles in terms of the traditional Thai.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Daniel
please
Ketley
give it up for Daniel Ketley right here in
George
centre
Groth,
ring.
who was just
What a
the
great
aggressive
fight he put on show.
high scorecards.
Just missed out today.
The whole fight,
But I'm sure some
very
of these
entertaining
fighters
nevertheless.